discussing all the various questions that are asked in the previous year's entrance exams of JEE, NEET, AIIMS. Okay, but before starting with that, we'll first have a look at the paper pattern of the exam IIT JEE. Now, IIT JEE consists of two papers. It is paper 1 and paper 2. Now, paper 1 is for engineering aspirants. So those who want to get into engineering colleges, that paper 1 is for them. And paper 2 is for people getting into BArch, or if I could better use this word as architecture, planning for architecture and planning. So if you want to opt for these courses, you will have to appear for paper 2. So for paper 1 engineering aspirants, the paper is of 300 marks. So you can attend both of these papers or either of the papers depending on your interest. Now for engineering aspirants, the paper 1 is of 300 marks. Okay. So these 300 marks are divided into 3 categories, which is physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Now, so these 300 marks are equally divided into these 3 subjects. Okay. So if equally they are divided, what would it be? So it would be 100 marks each, right? So chemistry, if I focus on chemistry, it is of 100 marks. Now, how are these 100 marks, how the question paper pattern? Now, if I look at these 100 marks distribution, so for all of these 3, it would be same. So if I take any one, it applies to the other 2 as well. Now, it contains 25 questions. Okay, so 25 questions make up 100 marks. Is of 100 marks, right? So I am not discussing about paper 2. Now 25 questions is of 100 marks. So in these 25 questions are also divided into 2 parts. 20 questions and 5 questions. Now how are these 20 questions? These 20 questions are MCQs. Okay, where one of the choice out of the 4 given options is right. So this is MCQs. So there are 20 such MCQs. Now from these 20 MCQs, each one question contains 4 marks. Okay. So how much would 20 questions turn out to be? So 20 questions would be 20 into 4, which is 80 marks. So from these 20 questions, if all the questions are right, so how much will you get? You will get 80 marks, right? Now, in case if you attempt some question and the answer turns out to be wrong. So for that question, any wrong answer will fetch you -1 mark. So there is a negative marking as well. Okay. Now these 5 questions are numerical type questions. So in these numerical type questions, you will not have 4 options. What you will have, you will have a question and you will have to solve the question, and the answer of the question would be in terms of some number. So the number they generally mention, the number can be between 1 to 9, or it can be any number. Sometimes they don't even mention. So these numerical, you have to using a keyboard, a number board, you will have to put a number. Okay, so the answer will be in form of a number, right? Now if this number is right, you will get 4 marks for one question. So one question is of 4 marks. Okay, but if the number is wrong, if you do not have the right answer, you do not have a negative marking. So negative marking is not there in numerical questions. Okay, but if you have so for 5 questions, this turns out to be 20 marks. Okay, So if you look at the total marks, 80 marks you fetch from the 20 MCQs and 20 marks you fetch from 5 questions of numerical. So these give us total 100 marks. Right? Now, if you say, see, there is a risk of a 25% probability that your question can also turn out to be wrong, right? So you have to be very sure if you attempt MCQs. So in MCQs, if the question you're 100% sure, you have to give it, you will get 4 marks. But if you're not sure, whatever marks you have earned before from the right questions, from that also you will have a -1 mark. So there will be a deduction of marks. So you have to be very, pretty sure when you solve MCQs. But for numerical, you don't have to be very, very sure about the answer. If you don't even know, you can have, substitute some value in it, but you will not get a negative marking. Okay. So numerical, you should always solve all the numericals. Okay. So solve all the numericals. This is a suggestion. But when it comes to MCQs, solve or attempt only when confident. Right? Okay. So this is for one paper. For any one paper, this is how it is, and this also applies for the other 2 papers. Okay. So if I was explaining for chemistry, for mathematics and physics also, you will this will be applied. So depending on what do you score, now you have in total 25 questions from each topic, like each branch. In total, how many questions do you have? So you have 75 questions, because there are 3 such branches that you have to solve. So total questions are 75. Okay. Now for 75 questions, how much time do you have? So you have 3 hours, and there are 4 hours for physically handicapped students. So okay, right? So but otherwise generally you have 3 hours. So in 3 hours you have to solve 75 questions. Okay. Now depending on, as I told that each question carries 4 marks. Now depending upon your total score, you will be given an all India rank. Okay. So depending on the number of negatives and how much you have attempted, so there will be an all India rank and there will be a percentile. Okay. So there are different calculations that are into it. So depending on the seat availability in each institute, all this is decided. Now, if there is certain cutoff, so there is cutoff on the percentile, in terms of, you can say percentile, or in terms of marks. So if I talk in terms of marks, what happens? The total marks are 300. So the cutoff is generally around, the cutoff varies every year. Okay. So every year the total number of students that are appearing, the total number of seats that are available in various colleges, and how many seats can be given to those students. So depending on that, the cutoff is decided. Now, cutoff has been varied from 115 to around 90. Okay, so the cutoff varies. So this is the cutoff generally for the general category. For other categories, the cutoff is still lower. So this cutoff is a primary or a basic requirement for you to appear into JEE Advanced. Okay, so this is JEE Mains, IIT JEE Mains, and the second round is for JEE Advanced. Okay, so now what happens with the JEE Mains score? Also there are institutes which take students. Now let's say if you have so for IIT JEE Main score, now you should have around, for general category, it is 75% above in your board, plus what? Plus your score of entrance exam. So entrance exam marks will decide your so there will be a total score that will be given based on these two, and based on these 2 marks you will be given only for, if you only appear for JEE mains, okay, you can get admissions into IITs and NITs, okay. But if you get into JEE Advanced and there is also a cutoff score in JEE Advanced exam, so if you qualify that JEE Advanced exam, you get a good score, then depending on those marks and the board result that you have, you can get ISERs, right, and IISc. So ISER and IISc will not take any student only on JEE mains, okay. So you have to appear a JEE Advanced, and then also you have to clear the cutoff, or you should have that rank such that there are seats, the ranks in that particular colleges match, your rank is between the rank given in that college. Now let's say, for example, if ISERs and IISc, let's say the rank that they want is around from, let's say, rank 1, so this is about all India rank. So let's say from rank 1 to, I'm just giving any number. So in between rank 1 and rank 500, if you have a rank, then you can get admitted into IISc or ISER. So it is decided according to what they want. So it is not actually, the lower rank is not given. Any rank which has a lower value has a good marks. So this is not given generally. So the the highest value till what they can take students is what is generally given, okay, when there are counseling sessions and then the admission is given, right? So this is all about how this works. Now let's get into the question solving, okay. So the important part is how fast and how do you solve questions. So for solving questions, with a good pace, you should first have a good control on the calculations, okay. So everything, there are times when you understand the concept, but then calculations takes time. So you have to have a good command on the calculations. Since you're not given any calculator, so what happens is you have to do the calculations all by your own. Neither a log table is given, neither a calculator is given. So calculations have to be very fast, and there are also other things. Sometimes what happens is we try to calculate the entire answer, but in the question they don't in the options they don't solve the entire question, but they give some part of the solving part, and then you have to from that you have to decide the question. Now let's say, for example, if the options are 5 times of Avogadro number, 1.5 times of Avogadro number, 3 times, and let's say 8 times, okay. So you didn't have to completely multiply with the Avogadro number and get your answer. The Avogadro number had to be kept aside. You had to only solve whatever the part was except the Avogadro number part. Okay. So whenever you see a question, also look at the questions of how they are asking. There are times when you don't have to solve the question, just from looking at the values. You can have you can take a decision whether you have to get into the calculation, so you can get into the answers. So we will also face such questions where we'll just from looking at the options we can decide which could be the answer. Okay, so let's get into the questions. So okay, now I will take all the questions, maximum of the questions that are asked in IIT JEE and various other state entrance exams, and also in NEET and AIIMS. So the questions that I have taken are questions which are a little tricky, which you need to understand how they have to be solved, and I'll also give you some questions to solve on your own. So let's start with the questions. These questions are from the previous year's IIT JEE exams. It is mains, advanced, AIIMS and NEET exam and other state board exams. Okay. So the first question is, how many moles of helium occupy 22.4 liter at 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere pressure? So the volume is 22.4 liters, right? And what is the gas? The gas is helium. Now helium does not form a diatomic or a triatomic gas. Helium exists as a single atomic entity. So 22.4 liters, as I had told you in the previous lectures, is equal to, at STP conditions, and STP conditions are given in the question. 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere pressure. So 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere pressure are STP conditions. So how many moles of helium would be occupied by 22.4 liters? It would be 1 mole. Okay. So the answer would be C. Right. Now, if in this case, if there was oxygen or if there was hydrogen, so hydrogen or oxygen would occupy, how many moles would it occupy? It would actually occupy 2 moles of helium, or 2 moles of hydrogen or 2 moles of oxygen. Okay. Why? Because they form a diatomic gas. So diatomic will actually occupy 11.2 liters for 1 mole, and if we have 22.4 liters, it will occupy 2 moles. Okay. So for helium, it is 1 mole. The second question that we have is, which of the following has the smallest number of molecules? Okay. Now we are given 4 options, and we have to find the smallest number of molecules. So for molecules, what will we have to do? We'll have to have number of moles, and we'll multiply that by Avogadro number. Okay. So for first, 0.1 mole of CO2 gas will have, so 0.1 mole will how many molecules? Will have equal to 0.1 times of Avogadro number of molecules, right? I'm not writing the entire number, I'm just writing NA molecules. So this is for CO2. The next one is 11.2 liters of CO2 at NTP conditions. So NTP conditions are temperatures at room temperature and the pressure remains same at 1 atmosphere. So STP, what is STP conditions? STP is 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere. Okay. And NTP conditions is room temperature, which is around 25 degrees Celsius. So NTP is what? NTP is normal temperature and pressures and 1 atmosphere. So this is normal temperature and pressure, and this is STP. But what we are asked at NTP conditions. So the second option is 11.2 liters of CO2 gas at NTP. So consider that the volume does not differ much with increase in temperature. We consider what happens at STP. The same will apply to NTP also. Okay, so 11.2 liters. Okay, now what I have to do here, I had to convert number of moles to number of molecules. Now I have 11.2 liter, so liter, which is volume, I have to convert to number of molecules. So it is 11.2 liters of CO2. Okay, now you will require a relationship. How? See, 22.4 liters will occupy how much? Any number of, which is Avogadro number of molecules of CO2, right? So for 11.2 liters, how much it would be? 11.2 liters is X. If you see the volume is decreased, the number of molecules will also reduce by 2. So this will X, what would X be? X would be equal to, just cross multiply 11.2 into Na upon 22.4. So this becomes Na by 2. So the number of molecules that it will occupy would be Na by 2 molecules. Right? So this is the first option, molecules. This is the second option. Now what is the third given? 22 grams of CO2 gas. Okay. So now what I have to do? I have to relate weight with number of molecules. Now what is the molecular weight of carbon dioxide? 12 plus 16 plus 16, which becomes 44. So 44 grams will occupy how much? Avogadro number of molecules. So the molar mass occupies Avogadro number of molecules. So the given mass, which is 22 grams, here also we can see it is divided by 2. So the mass is divided by 2. So the number of molecules will also be divided by 2. So 22 grams will occupy Na by 2 number of molecules. Right? So this is the third option's answer. And 22.4 into 10 to the power 3 ml of CO2 gas. Okay. Now I had explained you the relationship between milliliter and decimeter. If you know 1 decimeter is equal to 10 centimeter, right? Just recall the previous video. And if I have 1 decimeter cube, this will be equal to 10 to the power 3 centimeter cube, right? So if anywhere I have 10 to the power 3 decimeter cube, I can substitute that by 1 decimeter cube. Now what I am giving you, 22.4 into 10 to the power 3 ml. Now ml is equal to what? 1 ml milliliter is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 of a liter, right? So now what I want this in liters, okay? So instead of milliliter, I have to substitute liters. So what I'll do, 22.4 into 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 liters. Okay, so the milli thing I have substituted, the prefixes which we use, so that is for milli 10 to the power minus 3. So 10 to the power 3 and 10 to the power minus 3. From the rules of power indices, what do we understand? When the base is same, the powers add up. So 10 to the power minus 3 plus 3, so minus 3 plus 3 becomes 0, 10 to the power 0. So this is 22.4 into 10 to the power 0. Any number raised to 0 is 1. So 22.4 into 1, which remains 22.4 liters. Okay. Now I know that at STP conditions, since the conditions are not given, we will assume that it is STP conditions. So 22.4 liters, we know we had used this previous relationship. 22.4 liters occupy any moles of CO2. So any molecules of CO2. So 22.4 liters will occupy any molecules of CO2. Okay. So this is the fourth answer. Now if you compare all the four answers, so this is 0.1 times of Na, this is half and this is half. These both are same. Okay. Now the answer can be only one in any of the one options. So if two of the options are same, these two are definitely not the answer. Okay. So the answer could be this or this. Now it is asked which has the smallest number of molecules. So this has the smallest number of molecules. 0.1 is the smallest number that we can imagine. This is the largest number and these are in between. So option A is the right answer. Okay, so for second question, option E is the right answer. Right? Now let's move on to the third question. So what is the third question? The number of atoms contained in 11.2 liters of SO2 at STP conditions. Okay, now we have to calculate, read this question very carefully. We have to calculate the number of atoms and not the number of molecules. Okay. Now if I had to calculate the number of molecules, what I would do, I would use the direct relationship. If it is 22.4 liters, it would be any number of molecules. So for 11.2 liters, what is the relation, right? But this is not for the number of molecules, atoms. If you look at the molecule that is given, which is SO2. So one molecule of SO2, how many atoms does it have? It has 3 atoms, 1 sulfur and 2 oxygen. So one molecule has 3 atoms. Right? Now, what I am given, right? So what I will do, I will use the relationship between the volume and the number of atoms. Okay. Now, if one molecule has 3 atoms, so any molecules will have how many atoms? Just multiply by 3. Will have 3 times of any atoms. Right? Do you understand the condition? Whatever is the molecule, I am multiplying by 3 to get the number of atoms. So for any molecules, I will have 3 any atoms. Okay. Now we have the relationship between molecules and atoms. But now I want the relationship between volume and atoms. So it is 11.2. So we consider the STP conditions. So if it is 22.4 liters, it would contain how many? Any molecules. Okay, but I don't want the relationship between molecules. I want the relationship between volume and atoms. Okay, but any molecules is 3 any atoms. So this will become 3 any atoms. Right. So what is given? 11.2 liters. How much will that occupy? Right. So if you see that the volume is reducing by half, this will also reduce by half. Right. So this will become what? If you don't understand by that way, just find the value of x. So x will be what? Just cross multiply 11.2 into 3 Na and x into 22.4. So therefore x will be what? Take 22.4 on this side. 11.2 into 3 Na upon 22.4. Okay. So this is what? Twice. Now if you look at the questions, options, it is, we have an option of 3 upon 2 times 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. So this will be our answer. Which is this? This is option A. Okay. So So let's start with the fourth question. Now what the question says, the volume of 1 gram of hydrogen in liters at NTP is. Okay. Now it is given as hydrogen. Hydrogen at NTP will exist as what? Hydrogen molecule. It will not exist as hydrogen atom. Okay. Now the conditions are NTP. Now we can assume NTP and STP conditions to be very similar, and we can use calculations of STP conditions. Although NTP conditions are at a little higher temperature, but then that doesn't matter a lot. Okay. Now what is given? We have to find what? We have to find the relation of volume and weight. Okay, why? Because I am given the weight and I am asked about volume. Okay. So what is the general relation that I know? 22.4 liters will occupy how much? 2 grams of hydrogen. Right? Why? Because 1 gram of, I have told you that hydrogen forms a diatomic gas, so it forms a dimer. Now if it forms a dimer, the volume reduces. Okay, so it is not actually 22.4 which occupies 1 mole, it is 22.4 which occupies 2 mole, which is actually 2 grams. Okay, so if your 22.4 liter occupy 2 grams of hydrogen, so how much would 1 gram of hydrogen occupy? Okay, so 1 gram of hydrogen would be occupied by X volume. Now if you see the weight is reducing by half, the volume will also reduce by half. So X will be what? 11.2 liters. Right? So the answer is D. Okay? Now let's look at the next question. The next question says, the number of oxygen atoms in 4.4 gram of carbon dioxide is approximately. Okay? So what I have to find? Number of atoms of only oxygen. So in carbon dioxide, we have to find only oxygen atoms. Previously in sulfur dioxide, we had to find total, but now only oxygen atoms. So for one sulfur dioxide molecule, we have 2 molecules of, or I would say 2 atoms of oxygen. Right? So 2 atoms of oxygen in one sulfur dioxide molecule. Now what do I have to find the relation between? The relation is between the weight and between atoms. Okay, so the previous relation like I used, one molecule contains what? It is not actually SO2, it is CO2. Right? Previously it was SO2, now in the question it is CO2, although they are only asking about the oxygen atoms. So this is CO2. Now I understand that one molecule of CO2 contains 2 atoms of oxygen. Right? So then what is asked? Now the relations between, as I said, weight and number of atoms. Now I know the molecular weight of carbon dioxide is 44. So 44 grams of carbon dioxide will contain how many molecules of oxygen? So one molecule, so first of all it contains Avogadro number of CO2 molecules. Okay, so one CO2 molecule has 2 atoms, so Avogadro number of CO2 molecules will have how many atoms? 2 times Na atoms. So this will have 2 Na, 2 times Avogadro number of oxygen atoms. Okay, so I have to take the relationship between this and this. Right? I have to use this because I know the relation between these two. Now I have the relation between this and this. Now what is given? 4.4 grams. So for 4.4 grams, what would be the number of atoms? Okay, let's say that is X. Now if you see, this is divided by 10, 1/10. So this will also come to 1/10 of the value if you look at the options. But then let's solve it. So what would this X be? X into 44 is equal to 2 Na, right, into 4.4. So X will be what? 2 Na into 4.4 divided by 44. Okay, so this becomes in 4 1.1 11, and this becomes what? 11 0.1. So 0.1 into 2 becomes 0.2. So 0.2 into what is the value of Na? Na is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Okay, so 6 into 2 is 12. So this becomes what? 12. If I don't take this value, if I take just 6 into 12 and the decimal is after one digit, so I will have 1.2 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of oxygen. Right? So this is the answer. If you look at the options, the option A is your right answer. Okay? So let's solve the next question. So what is the next question? The total number of gram molecules of SO2Cl2 in 13.5 gram of sulfuryl chloride. Now what is sulfuryl chloride? Sulfuryl chloride is SO2Cl2. Okay, this is sulfuryl chloride. Now what is asked? 13.5 grams of sulfuryl chloride, we have to find the number of gram molecules. What is gram molecules? Gram molecules is the number of moles. The other name for number of moles is also gram molecules. These both terms are equal. Is equal to number of moles. Okay? So this is what is asked, but in how much? 13.5 grams. So I have to find the relationship between weight and number of moles. If you see, now we have to first know the molecular weight of SO2Cl2. So we know that for sulfur, the atomic weight is 32. For oxygen, the atomic weight is 16. But there are two oxygen. Then for chlorine, it is 35.5. So there are two chlorine as well. Right? Now we'll add all these. Right. So the molecular weight of SO2Cl2 is 135.5 grams. Okay. Now, but what is the question asked? It is asked for 13.5 grams. So we have to give the relationship between number of moles and weight. So what is the relation? For 135 grams of sulfuryl chloride, okay, the number of gram molecules of sulfuryl chloride would be 1 gram molecule. And then for 13.5 grams of sulfuryl chloride will contain X. Okay, if you see this is divided, this is 1/10, so this will also become 1/10, which is 0.1. But then I'll show you the calculation. So what will be X? X will be equal to 13.5 into 1 upon 135. Okay, so what would this be? 1 and 0.1. Okay, so X is equal to 0.1 gram molecules. Fair enough? So the answer that we have is A. A equal to 0.1. Now what is the next question? The next question is the total number of protons in 10 grams of calcium carbonate. Okay. So now look at the question. Now we have to find the relationship between protons and weight of something. Okay. And that is also our total number of protons. Okay. Now we should know the number of the atomic numbers of few. Like if you see in the question, they haven't given the molecular masses of anything, so you should know the molecular masses. Okay, so we are solving the 7th question now. Now if you see calcium carbonate, the number of protons is equal to number of electrons, right? So we should know the atomic numbers of all these elements. If we know the atomic numbers, which means we know the number of protons. For calcium, the atomic number is 20. So there are 20 protons in one molecule of calcium. For carbon, the atomic number is 6, which is 6 protons. And for one oxygen, the atomic number is 8, which is 8 protons. Okay. Now if I have to find the total number of protons in one molecule, what it would be? 20 for calcium, 12 for carbon. So there are 8 for 3 oxygens. Right? So let's add. 56. So there are in total 56 protons in one molecule of calcium carbonate. Okay. So now in what way do I have to find? I have to find in 10 grams of calcium carbonate. Okay. Now if we should also know the molecular weight of calcium carbonate, because now we have to relate the molecular weight with the number of protons. So first we'll relate the molecular weight with the number of moles, and that number of moles or number of molecules. Now we know how many protons are there in one molecule, so we'll find out the number of protons in those many number of molecules. Okay, so the molecular weight would be what? For calcium, the atomic weight is 20. For carbon, the atomic weight is 12, and for oxygen, the atomic weight is 16. Right? Now we have to add these. Sorry, for calcium, the atomic weight is not 20, the atomic weight is 40. Okay, so this comes out to be 10. So this is 100. So the atomic weight is 100. Okay, now we will further solve the question. Right. Now we want to find in 10 grams. Okay. So for, let's say, 100 grams. Okay. But let's not start with 100 grams. What we'll start with is, okay, I'll write that relation. So 100 grams, what I'm solving? I'm solving the seventh question. So 100 grams will have how many? Any number of molecules of calcium carbonate, right? But then I know that one molecule of calcium carbonate contains how many? 56 protons. Okay, which is what I have solved here. Now, any molecules will contain how many protons then? 56 into any protons. So 100 grams will contain how many protons? This is molecules. So to find protons, what I'll do? One molecule contains 56. Any molecules will contain 56 into any. I hope you understand this. I'll write that. One molecule contains 56 protons. So any molecules will contain Na into 56 protons. So this is what I am writing. Instead of any molecules, I will write Na into 56 protons. So I should write 100 grams will give any molecules. I will write 100 grams will give Na into 56 protons. Right? Now I have the relation between weight and protons. Now they are not asking for 100 grams, they are asking for 10 grams. So for 10 grams, what will this come out to be? So what I'll do, I'll write the second relation and then find the value of x. Okay? So what is the relation? 10 grams will contain x protons, right? Okay, let's solve this. So for x, I will multiply these two, 10 into Na into 56 upon 100. So this comes out to be 56 upon 10. Anything upon 10, just put a decimal. So 5.6 into Na. Now we'll substitute the value of Na. This will become 5.6 into 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Right? Now I have to just multiply the two numbers. Okay. So if I just write 6 and not 6.023. So what I will do, I do the multiplication between 5.6 and 6. Okay. So this comes out to be around 33.6. Okay, this is 33.6 into 10 to the power 23. But I have told you we have to use the scientific notations. So if I reduce the number from 33, if I do 3.3, what I have to do, I for this question, C option is our right answer. Right? Let's get into the next question. Number of moles of sodium oxide in 620 grams of it is. Okay? So I have 620 grams of what? Sodium oxide. Now sodium oxide is this. Whenever the compound is not given, first write the right molecular formula of the compound from the name. Okay? Now what is asked? How many moles of sodium oxide? So I had to relate weight with moles. Okay? So first I'll find out the molecular weight. So sodium I know it is 23. There are 2 sodiums and 1 oxygen. Okay? So this comes out to be 62. Okay, 62 is the molecular weight of sodium oxide. So 62 grams will contain how many? 1 mole of sodium oxide. So 620 grams. Now you see that it is only multiplied by 10. So how many? This will contain how many? Right? So if this is multiplied by 10, the answer will also be multiplied by 10. So this comes out to be 10 moles. So X comes out 10 moles. Okay? So the correct answer or the correct option is option D. Okay? Let's solve the next question. The next question says 2 grams of oxygen contain number of atoms equal to that in. Okay. So now what I have to do in this question, I have to solve first the number of atoms in 2 grams of oxygen. Now oxygen is in what state? In diatomic state. Right? So what is the molecular formula of diatomic state oxygen? 16 plus 16, which is 32 grams. Okay. Now 32 grams, how many atoms does 32 grams contain? It contains 2 into Na atoms of oxygen. Do you understand? Because 16 grams will contain Na atoms, so 32 will contain 2 into Na atoms. Okay. So 2 into Na atoms of oxygen, or you can directly write, if you write this half of it, so this will be 16 grams contains Na atoms. So the molecular weight contains Avogadro number of atoms of the molecule. Okay. So 16 grams contain these many number of atoms. So how much will 2 gram contain? Okay. So this is X. So we cross multiply. So what do we get? 2 into Na upon 16. So this is 1 upon 8. So Na upon 8. Right? Na upon 8 atoms. So I'll have to find which of the following contains Na upon 8 atoms. Okay? Let's look at the first option. So the first option is 0.5 grams of hydrogen. Now hydrogen is also a diatomic molecule. So what will happen? Similarly, 1 gram will contain Na atoms. Okay? So 0.5 grams is what is asked. How much will that contain? That will also contain Na by 2 atoms. Because what we are doing, we are dividing this by 2, this will also get divided by. So this contains Na by 2 atoms. This is not equal to Na by 8 atoms. Let's look at the next question, next option. It is 4 grams of sulfur. Now sulfur exists as a monoatomic state. Now what will happen? The weight of sulfur is 32. 32 grams will contain Na atoms of sulfur. Then 4 grams will contain what? So I'll just do cross multiply. 4 into Na divided by 32 will be equal to X. So X will be equal to what? Na upon 8. So this comes out to be Na upon 8, which is equal to our answer. So the right option or right answer is option B. Right? Let's go to the next question. Now the next question is the number of molecules in 8.96 liter of a gas. Okay. Now they haven't given us what the gas is. They have just asked us the number of molecules. Okay. So the volume is 8.96 liter. Okay. At 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere. So we understand that these are what? STP conditions. Okay. Now we know that 22.4 liter of gas contains how much? Okay. Now they are asking the number of molecules. So 22.4 liters contains how much? Na molecules. Right? So 8.96 will contain how much? this will be x. Now we'll find this x. So 8.96 into Na. We can, what do? We always substitute the value of Na at the last, because writing such a big number again and again becomes a little difficult. So this should be a practice for you also. Okay, this will be x. So liter and liter we have. So liter and liter will get cancelled. What will we have? Only the number of molecules as the unit. So all we have to do is we have to solve this. Now what I'll get? It is 8.96. So I can divide this by 4. Right? So this would be 3 point something into Na. Okay, now I haven't written Na, so around 3 point something. I haven't solved completely, but then you can have an approximation always. Into 10 to the power 23 will be x. Okay, so what will be x? Around 18 into 10 to the power 23. So this matches with the C option. So what is our right answer? Our right answer is option C. So let's look at the 11th question. Now what does the 11th question say? If Na is an Avogadro number, then the number of valence electrons in 4.2 gram of nitride ion. Now read the question carefully. Valence electrons are asked. Okay. So I have to find the valence electrons in 4.2 grams of nitride ion. Okay. Now so let's just suppose if I don't have the nitride ion, if I just have the nitrogen atom, what is the configuration? 2, 5. So the valence shell has 5 electrons. Okay. But now there are also 3 more electrons. It is 3 minus. So what will happen? This 5 will add on with more 3 electrons, which is give us 8 valence electrons. So I understand that the valence electrons is equal to 8. Okay. Now I understand that from one atom of nitride ion, there are 8 valence electrons. Okay. Now what I have to do? I have to find out the relation between weight and valence electrons. Okay. So to find out that relation, what I'll have to do? I'll have to use the number of atoms. If I know the number of atoms, then I can find the number of valence electrons. Okay? Because I know the relationship between atom and valence electrons. Now 14 grams contains 14 grams of nitride ion, which is the molecular weight of nitrogen, contains any atoms of nitrogen, right? And the same 14 grams of nitride ion, if instead of writing Na atoms, I can write 8 valence electrons into Na atoms. How? One atom contains 8 valence electrons. So Na atoms will contain how many valence electrons? 8 into Na valence electrons. Okay. Now I have the relation between what? Weight and valence electrons. Okay. This is what I wanted ultimately. Now I will find the relationship between 4.2 grams, which is given in the question, and valence electrons. So I don't know the answer, which is x. Okay. If you look at the options, it is given in terms of Na. So we don't have to solve the Avogadro number. We have to just solve other parts except the Avogadro number. So if we cross multiply these two, what will we get? 4.2 into 8 into Na divided by 14, which is what I have done here. And if you simplify this, ultimately what you get? 0.6 into 4, which comes out to be 2.4. 2.4 into Na. So the right option is option A. If we look at the question number 12, now what is asked? The hydrogen phosphate of a certain metal has a molecular formula of MHPO4. Okay, now we have to find the formula of the metal chloride. Now to find out the formula of metal chloride, what will we have to do? We should know the valency of metal. See, let's say if I know Na is 1 plus, so I know that it will combine with chloride as NaCl. I know that magnesium is +2, so it will combine with chlorine as MgCl2. Okay. Whatever is the valency, those many number of chlorine would be required. Okay, that is why we need to find out the valency. Let's look at just the structure of phosphate. What is it? phosphate contains, this is the structure, P double bond O and 3 O minus. So overall phosphate has a charge of PO4 3 minus. Okay. Now what I have to do, I have to incorporate those much number of positive, let's say metal ions or other atoms, such that the total charge is nullified and we get a neutral compound. Okay. Now if we consider H is what? H is always generally present as H plus, except in metal hydrides it is present there in H minus, but here it is present as H plus. So if it is H plus, so it has 1 plus charge. So out of 3 minus charge, if 1 plus charge is nullified, so HPO4 can have still 2 minus charges. Okay. Now this M should have a plus 2 charge such that this 2 minus charge is nullified and we get a neutral compound NHPO4. So 2 plus and 2 minus should be nullified. So the total valency or the total charge on metal is NHPO4. Okay. Now if the charge on metal is plus 2, this is what I understand, that the charge on metal should be plus 2, then what would be the formula of metal chloride? Metal chloride would be what? Chlorine is minus 1. So metal chloride will be MCl2. Okay. So this is the answer, and the right option is option B. Okay. So the next question is question number 14. Now the question is, the number of moles of oxygen in 1 liter of air containing 21% of oxygen by volume in standard conditions is. Okay. Now what I have to find, the relation between volume and number of moles. But before that, we know that the total 1 liter volume does not contain completely of oxygen. It is 1 liter of air where 21% of it is oxygen. Okay. So I have to find the actual volume of oxygen. Now if 1 liter is our air. Okay. So 21% of that is what? Oxygen. Okay. So 21, we have to find 21% of the total volume. Right. So we have to find the volume occupied by oxygen atoms. So if I want to find, so 21% means what? 21 upon 100 of 1 liter. So this comes out to be what? 0.21 of 1 liter. So 0.21 into 1 is 0.21. So this is 0.21 liters. So the volume occupied by oxygen molecules is what? Volume occupied. This is equal to 0.21 liters, right? Now we know the actual volume occupied by oxygen, and the next question that is asked is the number of moles of oxygen in that much volume. So we want the relation between volume and number of moles. Okay, so the relation is between volume and number of moles. We know that 22.4 liters of oxygen occupies how much? 22.4 liters occupies 2 moles of oxygen, right? Or 2 moles of oxygen atoms, but then when it comes to oxygen molecules, it is 1 mole. Okay. Now we are only asked about oxygen molecules. 22.4 liter occupies what? 1 mole of oxygen molecules. Right. Now what is asked? We are asked for 0.21 liters. So how much will 0.21 liters occupy? Right. So we have to find the value of x. So x will be what? This cross multiply 0.21 into 1 upon 22.4. Just solve for the value of x. 0.21 is liters, 22.4 is liter, 1 is mole. If we see liter and liter get cancelled, the final answer will have the unit of moles. So if you see, this is or I can use so this is 0.01 upon 1, which is 0.01. So x turns out to be what? 0.01 moles. Okay. So the right option would be Yeah. So this is very close to 0.01 moles. Now if you see the options 0.186, then 0.21, 2.10. If you look at these three options, they are not at all close to 0.001. This is 0.1, not 0.001. This is 0.2, which is a much larger number, and this is 2.10. So these three are definitely not the options. Now let's look at the number 0.0093. Do you remember the rounding off? If I have to write this up to 2 digits after the decimal, what I have to do? I have to round off these two numbers. Okay. So if I round off 3, this will come out to be what? 0.009. Now I have to round off 9. Okay. So 9 is what? Greater than 5. If it is greater than 5, the previous number increases by 1 unit. So this becomes 0.01. Right. So this value is approximately close to our calculated value. Calculations are a little approximate, but then we can find out the approximate values. So the right answer is option D. Okay. Let's get into the next question. The question is the number of atoms in 4.25 grams of ammonia is approximately. Okay. Now I have to find the relationship between what? Whenever you read the question, read what is given and what is asked. So weight is given and what is asked? Number of atoms. Okay. So now see, the number of atoms is asked and not the number of molecules. So we'll have to find out the total number of atoms. We have done a similar question previously. So one atom or one molecule of ammonia contains what? One molecule of ammonia contains how many? 3 of hydrogen and 1 nitrogen. So this contains 4 atoms of ammonia. Then, now what I have to find, if I have any molecules of ammonia, so how much will these contain? If we cross multiply, these two will get multiplied. So we get 4 Na atoms of ammonia. Okay. So now we know the relationship between molecule and atom. Now we have to find the relationship between weight and atoms. Okay. Now what is the molecular weight of ammonia? Ammonia is equal to 14 plus 3 of hydrogen, which is 17 grams. Okay. So we know that 17 grams will occupy how much? How many molecules will it have? Any molecules it will have. So any molecules, but then we don't have to find the relationship between molecules, we have to find the relationship between atoms. So Na molecules has 4 Na atoms. So 17 grams will have what? 4 Na atoms. Then what is asked in 4.25 grams? So what would be the number of atoms in 4.25 grams? So this is X. Okay. If I solve for X, this is 4.25 into 4 Na upon 17. Right? Now, if we solve these, so this comes out to be okay. So this is 4.25 into 4 into 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 upon 17. Okay. Now I can have an approximator. So this is approximately 2, right? Yeah. So this is approximately 2. This is 85. Now I have to find 2.5. So 2.5 into 4, this comes out to be, okay, so I have to multiply 2.5 times of 4. So this comes out to 10. So 10 into 6 becomes 60. So I'll just multiply with 6. So this comes out to be 60 into 10 to the power 23. How are the options given? So the options are right. So the answer should be, so if I shift this value here, this should be 6 into 10 to the power 24. So these many number of atoms of ammonia in how much? 4.25 grams, right? So the answer, right option is option D, right? Let's solve the 16th question. Now the question is, 4.4 grams of an unknown gas occupies 2.24 liter of volume at standard temperature and pressure. The gas may be. Now they have given the relationship between weight and volume. So 4.4 grams is occupying what? 2.24 liters. Okay. Now I have to find out the standard conditions. We know what? We know the standard volume conditions. So I know 22.4 liters occupy the molecular mass of the gas, which I don't know now. So what I can do is, I have this one relation, I can connect with the other relation. So if 4.4 grams occupies 2.24 liter, so molecular mass grams will occupy how much? 22.4 liters. So if you see, to find this value, I have multiplied here by 10. So this will also be multiplied by 10. So this will come out to be what? M will come out to be 44. Right? So M will come out to be 44 grams. So I have to find which of the following gases have 44 grams as the molecular weight. Okay? I know I have solved so many times that carbon dioxide has a molecular weight of 44. So the gas may be what? Carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is option A. Let's start with the 17th question. The question is, the maximum amount of barium sulfate precipitated on mixing barium chloride and with H2SO4 will correspond to. So in such conditions, always write the reaction. Whenever there is a neutralization reaction or any such reaction, precipitation, then write the reaction. So it will be barium chloride reacting with H2SO4. Okay, what will this give out? Barium sulfate will be precipitated. Okay, and there are H2 and Cl2, so we will get 2HCl. So this is the balanced equation. Now they have asked the maximum amount of barium sulfate on mixing 0.5 molar. Okay, so if you see, there is a 1:1 correspondence between barium chloride and H2SO4. So if I have 0.5 molar of barium chloride, then only 0.5 molar of H2SO4 will react. But I am given 1 molar of H2SO4, so I understand that this is a limiting reagent. Okay, so we always calculate with respect to limiting reagent. So 0.5 will react with 0.5, although 1 molar is given. And what will we get? We will get 0.5 molar of barium sulfate. Okay, but they have asked amount, so they have asked the amount of barium sulfate. So barium sulfate also stoichiometry is same. So 0.5 will react and give us 0.5 molar. So the answer will be 0.5 molar, which is option A. Okay. Let's get to the next question. Now the question is, volume of a gas at STP is 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 7 cc. Calculate the number of molecules. So relation is volume and number of molecules. But what is given? 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 7 cc. Now what is cc? Centimeter cube. So if I write this as centimeter cube, but then I should have the volume in the units of decimeter cube. Also I know that 1 centimeter cube is 10 to the power, or I will write first 1 centimeter is 10 to the power minus 1 of a decimeter. Then 1 centimeter cube will be 10 to the power minus 3 of a decimeter cube. Okay, so instead of centimeter cube, I will write here as decimeter cube. Okay, so this will come out to be 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 7, which is already given, into 10 to the power minus 3 decimeter cube. The powers, the bases are same, the powers at minus 7 minus 3 becomes minus 10. So 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 10 decimeter cube is the volume of a certain gas. Then calculate the number of molecules in it. Okay, STP conditions is given obviously. So at STP, what will happen? So at STP conditions, if I had 22.4 decimeter cube, then this will occupy how many molecules? Avogadro number of molecules. But now I have 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 10 decimeter cube. So this will occupy X. Just cross multiply 1.12 into 10 to the power minus 10 into Na upon 22.4. Right? Now, if I just shift the decimals, what this would be 112 upon 224. Now I've shifted the decimal 1 to the right, so this would be 10 to the power minus 1. As I've shifted 2 to the right, this would be 10 to the power minus 2. Right? 10 to the power minus 10 into n. So this comes out 1 and 2. So I have 1 upon 2 into 10 to the power minus 2. This goes on the numerator plus 1 and minus 10 into Na. Okay. So this is 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 1 minus 10, which is minus 11, into write the value of Avogadro number. Now 6 into 5 is 30, but then I have a decimal, so 3.0 into 10 to the power 12. Okay, so the right answer is option B. Okay, so the answer is option B. Right. Let's solve the next question. The next question is the largest number of molecules is in. Okay. Now look at the options. The options is between weight and now the weight of all the 4 is given. We have to find the number of moles. See, if we find the number of moles, just we have to multiply every number of moles with Avogadro number. So everywhere the multiplication would be same. So if I know which has highest number of moles, that will also have highest number of molecules. Okay. Now suppose if one of the option has 5 moles and the other option is 4 moles. Anyway, to find the number of molecules, I will have to multiply both by Avogadro number. So this value is anyway constant in them. So 5, the 5 value is largest. So this number of molecules will come out to be largest. So instead of solving for number of molecules, we can also solve for number of moles and then generalize for number of molecules. So see, always number of moles and number of molecules can be understood when we have to take ratios, when we have to find out the number of molecules. Then moles and molecules can be interchanged. But with weight, this is not possible. Which has highest weight will have highest number of molecules. It's not possible. All of them have different molecular weights. So never do this. Like a relation between weight and number of moles or molecules, because they have a very different relationship. Okay, so moles and molecules we can definitely do that. So largest number of molecules, now first is 34 grams of water. Now I know 18 grams of water is 1 moles. So 34 grams will be 2 moles. So So first option is 2 moles. Next option is 28 grams of carbon dioxide. I already know that 44 grams is 1 mole of carbon dioxide. But then this is given what? Less than even 44 gram. Less than even 1 mole. But this will not be the answer because we have already found out that 2 mole is already of larger number and we have to find the largest number of molecules. So we will not solve this, but we know this will be surely something less than 1 mole. The next option is 46 grams of CH3OH. So 46 grams of CH3OH. So let's find out CH3OH molecular weight. So this is 12, 4 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Okay, 32. So 32 grams is 1 mole of CH3OH. But then this is not exactly double. Now 18 was 34 was exactly double of 18, so it was 2 mole. So this will be between double of 32 and 40, which is 64 and 32. So we'll get some value between. Let's actually find out what it is. So x will be 46 into 1 upon 32. Okay, so around 23 upon 16, which would be around 1 point something. So x will be around 1 point something, which is less than 2 surely. Then the last option is 54 grams of N2O5. Now first find N2O5 molecular weight. This is 14 and 14 and 5 times of 16. Okay, and they have asked, see, so 108 grams will be 1 mole. So what would be 54 grams? Okay, so 54 is half of 108, so this will also be half a mole, so this would be 0.5 mole. Okay, so the largest number of molecules will be what? Of that of water. So the right option would be option E. Now the next question, question number 20. The number of molecules in 16 grams of methane is, okay, so for methane we have to find out the number of molecules. So CH4 is what? 12 plus 4, which is 16 grams. So how many will be in 16 grams of methane? Number of molecules. So this is a very obvious question. So 6.02 into 10 to the power 23. Molecular mass will contain Avogadro number of molecules. So the answer would be option B. This was a very straight one question. Next question is the volume in liters of carbon dioxide liberated at STP when 10 grams of 90% pure limestone is heated completely. Okay, so the actual weight of the substance is 10 grams. Okay, but how much is the purity? How much is limestone in it? Limestone is 90%. So it is not completely limestone. There is 90%, out of this 90% is limestone and the other part would be some impurities. So if I want to find 90% of this, so this is 9 grams. Okay, so 9 grams is limestone and 1 gram is some impurities. Now what they have asked, the volume in liters of carbon dioxide liberated at STP when this much grams of limestone is heated completely. Okay. So what is limestone? Limestone is calcium carbonate. When it is heated, this gives us what? Calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. So I have to find out the volume of this carbon dioxide in liters. Now I have to find the relation between weight and the volume. Okay, this is the balanced equation. So I find that molecular weight of calcium carbonate is 100. We have solved this initially. So 100 grams will give us how much? 22.4 liter of carbon dioxide. But then 9 grams will give us how much? This is what we have to find out. Okay, so this would be 9 into 22.4 upon 100. So 9 upon 100 is 0.09. So I have to find 0.09 into 22.4. 2.016 returns. So which is this option? This is option D. Now see, the options are very close. If you see 2.24, 20.6, 2.016, so you had to solve very accurately. So the answer is option D.